Flight boss, bitch. For sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Sagittarius Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And we're gonna talk about all these goddamn energies being in Sagittarius. Yeah, that's right, because we're dealing with a little bit of fire right now. But not your typical spark like electricity type of fire, and not your subtle, everybody look at me in the center stage fireplace type of fire. We talking about a fire that's kind of scattered. You kind of don't know where it's at. It's kind of everywhere like motherfucking air. So, motherfucking, you can't mistake it sometimes. But for the most part, you feel the warmth. You feel a sense of heat. And a sense is a sense of sight. So a sense of enlightenment. So that sense of communication that's going on within the air that you can't see. You just think it's air, but you feel a little warmth from it. You see that little orangey energy from it a little bit, because you see that it's kind of transforming type of, it's kind of like a passionate type of movement. It's kind of like a intuition, fiery type of movement. So you get that little orange in that air, and then once you pick up that heat, you like, okay, what's coming in within this communication and shit that kind of uplift me? You see fire rises, right? You see that, right? See how it rises because it's light form, right? So with that kind of fire, you catch that wave and you like, damn, I'm enlightened. So it makes Sagittarius optimistic. Then you get into a circumstance like, damn, I can kind of see this air a little bit. It got a little color to it. Boom, aka that calls expression. Something you can actually see. Something you can visualize from that communication now, from that aspect, from that information. So by default, just make Sagittarius deals with a lot of wisdom, deals with the totality of things. Now, for the most part, all mutable signs deal with the totality of things because they're so mutable and so mobile that, they get around. I get around. I get around. I get around. And goddamn it, Gemini made that goddamn song. So let that goddamn tell you. So for the most part, when we talk about all mutable motherfucking signs, rest in peace, Tupac. You know what I'm saying? They so mutable. They so mutable. They so mobile. I made a word at the beginning that mixed mutable and mobile together and shit like that. God damn it, I'm a Sagittarius goddamn moon. Well, I'm gonna tell you motherfuckers like this, right? See, look, when you got this motherfucking energy, they like to look at things from a broad perspective, just in their own specific location. So for the most part, you got Earth, which would be Virgo, mutable Earth. So they like to look at the broad perspective when it comes to thinking, being practical, making sense out of things. You know what I'm saying? You got Gemini, so they like to look at the broad perspective when it comes to thinking and communicating, which is air. You know what I'm saying? You got motherfucking Pisces, so they like to come to the broad perspective of how you're supposed to deal with the emotions and feelings and how to resonate, aka that's water. And then you got motherfucker Sagittarius, which they like to come to the broad perspective of how you're supposed to see and feel about things, aka what we visualize, what we see, what we mean by things, what's the reasoning behind things, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature. So for the most part, we're dealing with a lot of these motherfucking energies because the moon is that just slid her motherfucking monkey ass in motherfucking Sagittarius, and goddamn Mercury is in Sagittarius right now. Also, Mercury is on slide in 9 degrees, so it just slid over into my moon sign right now, so it's conjuncting my moon sign, which is Mercury. So for the most part, how I react and respond to things and my true state of being is what's going to be on everybody's mind. And not just mine, you might got this energy or just that energy in itself, that Uriel, that fixed star Antares energy, all that energy, all the shit that come from that, all that familiar energy that get pushed onto y'all and things of that nature that deals with higher wisdom and dealing with the fall of things. And we in fall, which as far as the season spectrum, but for the most part, and we in that space and location, but all things that correlate with that. You know what I'm saying? How you get comfortable with things being able to transform. Get comfortable when things getting ready to take a shift. Get comfortable with things not being the same. Get comfortable with transformation. Get comfortable with the motherfucking fall. Because you know all things is going to expire and transform. AKA go to death. And then that's when I send all the motherfucking lost dumbass spirits down to Archangel Gabriel and let Formal take care of all that shit. Then, she or he send it over there to motherfucking Michael. Then, you know what I'm saying, Michael send it over there to Raphael. You know what I'm saying, shout out to Honey or Rue and all that shit. But for the most part, you know what I'm saying, that's when things come back to me and things start to fall again. But for the most part, we get into these energy signatures of what we all need to understand as far as what we're reacting and responding to. And definitely when we're talking about Mercury, because Mercury is in that actual energy spectrum of my whole fucking channel. My whole fucking channel is the energy that y'all feel today, basically, when it comes to Mercury. So anytime you're thinking, analyzing, utilizing your communication skills or your rationality or your ability to construct concepts within your minds and things of that nature, you're dealing with a high level of energy with that. So if you're very naive, you're not into flight astrology, you don't watch Archangel Uriel, you might disregard all this energy today and you might just be trying to utilize your own Mercury. So therefore, everybody will be looking at you like you're unwise. Everybody be looking at you like you live chaotic, that you're not warm, you're not optimistic, you're bringing people down, you're not light. You know what I'm saying? People are going to be looking at you like you're thinking too hard about things. You're too busy looking at the instructions instead of trying to understand what's the meaning and reasoning of why we got these instructions here in the first place for us. So for the most part, it'll dive into a lot of scenarios if you ain't understanding fixed stars and the most dominant energy. You know, when we got big currents, big waves, aka conjunctions with fixed stars, that's when it's a heavy influence. So influences are very easily overthrown and rained down on and being taken over. So if you're a person who's just regularly naive, it'll play out for you in a more catastrophic way. So those will be those days that you go along in your day-to-day life and then explain to somebody like, damn, man, that was those days. That was that day. It was just one of those days that day. You goddamn it right. It was just one of those days that day. And one of those days don't come around every so motherfucking often. So you motherfuckers better start cherishing these motherfucking fixed stars when they're coming through these motherfucking conjunctions. You see what I'm saying with these fucking transits? God damn it. So for you, so you could be saying, yeah, it was just one of those days, but you talking about a motherfucking blissful ass day. You know what I'm saying? Good ass day. You ain't talking about no ass negative, dumb ass day that dragged you back down to that shit to the point that you experienced the same scenario when that alignment come back around. Cause your ass ain't learned to understand the influences in this fluid the last time it came around. So you get motherfucking chances. Believe that. You get chances. Life ain't gonna be easy. Every day is a motherfucking struggle. And the more you know how to understand that, the more that the struggle seem like it's fucking child's play. You know what I'm saying? This is why your kids don't look at your struggles the way you look at it, because to them, they're a child and they look at that shit like child's play, motherfucker. See what I'm saying? Now, for the most part, when we get into this energy, we got also Jupiter, Jupiter sliding his old grumpy ass, his old walking with a cane grumpy ass. Yeah, he got a lot of wisdom and knowledge. He can teach you a lot of shit, but his ass can't really do shit. His ass got to move around and go sit down, and he need motherfucking help. He needs somebody to wipe his ass and shit like that. So, you know, Jupiter is in just slid his old grumpy ass in the motherfucking Sagittarius also. So right now you're dealing with wisdom, knowledge, meanings, and reasonings, which is overall it brings experiences in your life. This is Jupiter, and with these experiences, you're able to expand your spirit. So this causes expansions in all your lives, whether it's dealing with a negative experience or a positive experience. You're able to extract wisdom and knowledge and place new meanings and reasonings on these experiences, which by default cause expansions in all realms of realities. So this is why Jupiter always enlightens you. Bring that motherfucking electricity, lightning down and get that motherfucking sparking idea out your head. And too many motherfucking humans in their left brain been down here trying to utilize what they can see in front of them and think that they got some form of wisdom to the point that they done created some motherfucking lightning and thunder goddamn storm down here and some shit. Now y'all gotta physically see what the fuck y'all done physically created. So you step outside thinking you all having wisdom and shit like that and get hit by motherfucking lightning. Motherfucker, you ain't powered. Motherfucker. That was the natural way. You motherfuckers doing shit in a false way. Now look, check this out. Now when we talk about the sun being in Scorpio, right? Now the sun being in Scorpio, this is how things gonna look. So all that energy that's being in Sagittarius is gonna look like Scorpio. So right now this is like taking a flashlight from the 9th house and looking around in the 8th house, aka in the haunted houses, in the dark hauses, in the houses that all the spirits then died in, and motherfucker still need to find another shape and form, but they have been attached to a shape and form before they died. So they haunt that shit until they can attach to somebody else's mind state and come back into this world in that way and experience that same kind of life, aka living in a family that creates circumstances and situations of fear and the same kind of dumbass shit again, repeating the same life that they just motherfucker. That's another fucking video, but motherfucker, the 8th house go deep in this motherfucker. Now when we talk about yeah, this is how everything is gonna look. So for the most part, we're taking a flashlight and looking at everything in the 8th house. So for the most part, this is what the reactions we're supposed to do. As far as the moon being in Sagittarius, we are here to react and respond to mutable and mobile ways of seeing and feeling about the world. So right now it's in your best interest to react and respond to things that's dealing with wisdom, knowledge, expression. Make sure you're expressing yourself in a certain way so people can understand where you're coming from and not try to logically put you in some type of box. Therefore you got to communicate in some type of manipulative way or some type of two-sided, double-sided kind of way, which you can learn a lot of that from your counterpart, which is Gemini. But at the same time, you need to know that you need to understand the meaning and reasoning that you putting behind whatever you're saying. saying, and making sure that whatever you're saying is not backed and supported by a desire that you want to get. Make sure it's backed and supported by you trying to elevate yourself in some way, shape, or form. So you see what I'm saying? It goes deep when we start to talk about the clashes and the Star Wars and shit like that, but we ain't gonna get into that with this video. We just gonna talk about Sagittarius. So, and the moon is waxing, so you know that we have to put this motherfucking energy in. Now it's time to start putting in the motherfucking action. You had your time to sit back and relax and plant seeds. Now it's time to water that motherfucking shit. AKA put the energy, put the emotions and feelings into all those ideas and shit. Start to express that shit verbally, put that shit in the yang realm. AKA water the fuck out that seed so you can see that shit grow. And then when the moon start to wane again, this is when you sit back and start to develop more ideas that you can add on to it. But you will have fruits and labors that can be shown from what you have planted and will have grown. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, you can sustain yourself and be happy about the little travel when the moon is waning. See, if all y'all just get to the waning, however y'all want to say it, but if all y'all just live the way the world is trying to tell you to live, it's simple. You don't need no fucking instructions. Go outside. But yeah, for the most part, this is what we need to react to. Now, as far as our thinking capabilities, analyzing, rationalizing, we need to be rationalizing, thinking, and analyzing about things, about meanings and reasonings and wisdom and knowledge and broad philosophical points of views of things, and not just in faith and spirituality, not the religion, aka the logical trying to explain what spirituality is. No, the faith and what spirituality is to you. But see, here's the thing. When we talk about Mercury, Mercury doesn't fuck with Sagittarius. Mercury doesn't fuck with Pisces. So y'all need to understand that for the most part. Mercury doesn't do well in those two signs. So for the most part, with it being in Sagittarius, it may be a little hard to communicate what you actually want to communicate right now. So this is why it's important to find some type of external way to an external creative way to communicate what's ever internally going on with you, because trying to verbally communicate it in logic is not going to come out, and it's not going to come out effectively. So if you could do it in an expressive way, aka utilize fire, take the internal realm and express it some type of way. So utilize some type of creativity, some type of passion that you're doing, some type of expression, something that you can do that can replace you trying to logically explain what's going on within you. Therefore, now you're working in the right energy. This is also for all my Mercury and Pisces signs. Y'all need to understand this also. But and then all my Mercury and Sagittarius is, but just definitely everybody needs to understand that. I don't care how good your Mercury is right now. You're going to be around a bunch of people that ain't going to come across right, because just the energy influence itself. So you may put yourself in a circumstance where you're not understanding that. So now you're still going against the wave because you're not understanding the influence that we in right now. So your communication is not going to come across as effective because everybody else is still in the influence of not being able to observe well. So it doesn't matter how talented you think you are, you're still on some type of shift. It doesn't matter. So your ability to withstand yourself through this astral travel and swim through this current as with your spaceship boat, then for the most part you'll be cool. You know what I'm saying? Now when we talk about Jupiter's experiences. So the way you're supposed to experience your experiences, aka the things to pay attention to when you're going through each experience in your life, dealing with people, places, and things, make sure you're always trying to look for the wisdom and knowledge. Make sure you're always trying to put new meanings and reasonings to these things. Therefore, you're not letting a pre-existent meaning or reasoning tear you down from the full experience of the experience. Also, and then the wisdom and knowledge, make sure you're always trying to learn. Therefore, if Jupiter do bring you a bad experience, you're not wearing it on you to bring you down. You're looking at it like, okay, this was something I actually needed to go through because I wouldn't have known what I know now. So make sure you're jumping in the energies of Sagittarius when you're going through your experiences right now. Therefore, you'll be on the positive side of energies. Now, if you want to be on the negative side of energy and just be washed up, you're going to find yourself getting hit by waves and wanting to react and wanting to respond and wash down on other people's wisdom or other people's spirituality or other people's meanings and reasonings to things, and then you jump into that type of mode of thinking that someone else's wisdom and knowledge ain't right. Now you are pushing the wave that we are in out onto someone else. So that's a wave. You're going against the wave, and the wave has to come back. So you start getting washed up into the vibes of what you think you need to react and respond to in life and all that shit like that. And that's how you get caught up all in the motherfucking wave. When your ass could have just sat back and was like, okay, nah, Jupiter is in motherfucking motherfucking Sagittarius, let me sit back and observe, and every experience I'm in, let me make sure I'm looking at the meaning and reason into it, and I'm placing my own meaning and reason into it, and I'm having and I'm extracting the wisdom and knowledge from it. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, you on the positive side of energy. Therefore, when you in a circumstance, in a situation that already got a pre-existent meaning or reason into it, based upon who you around or something like that, you like, nah. Let me cite my own moral sight up. I'm doing this because this is my meaning and reasoning why I'm doing it. And if you could diverge that energy into like a more uplifting, more positive one, then wherever that scenario or person, place, or thing drag you in, you still will always have that sense of power of being able to rise above that circumstance. AKA Jupiter bringing you a bad experience, but you're still able to get over that motherfucker and still not experience it as bad as someone who don't watch Archangel Uriel or not into astrology. You see what I'm saying? Motherfucker shit go deep in this motherfucker. But for the most part, yeah, we got Jupiter, motherfucking Mercury, and we got the motherfucking moon and Sagittarius. So motherfucker, this is all that energy. So we're supposed to be reacting and responding to as far as our feelings and our true state of beings. Make sure you're trying to get comfortable with learning right now, gaining wisdom and knowledge and observing and being able to express yourself a little bit. Express yourself with warmth and life. Not too heavy, not too much heaviness, not too much, because too much, see, with the Sagittarius fire, it's light scattered fire. So when you express yourself too much with this energy, it'll start to look like you're giving off too much light, aka too much information, aka you start to look like you're teachy or preachy. You know what I'm saying? And then that's the wrong expression a lot of times. That's trying to overly express your moral system, your ninth house energy, which you do not need to do that. For the most part, when we talk about Sagittarius, you just need to react right now with the moon. React and respond to the experiences in a way that you're trying to learn, in a way that you're trying to gain wisdom and knowledge and things of that nature, and express lightly. You know what I'm saying? AKA lighthearted. If someone else is down, they trying to bring you down with them. If you can't bring them up, don't get into no teaching or preaching type of scenario to bring them back up. Get into an expression or a type of mode or a mood that just the presence, aka the warmth through that air, the heat, the light, the little orangey through that air, they can receive that and then that bring them up with you. You see what I'm saying? Like it's real science, philosophical with this, scientifical with this shit, man. This shit is real. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you actually need to be reacting and responding to. As far as thinking, analyzing, and communicating, make sure you're thinking, analyzing, and communicating in the realms of having wisdom and knowledge and placing new meanings and reasonings onto that thing. And that may be a little hard to do right now. So if you could have some creative way or have some reference points or references that someone can look towards that have a better example as far as a shape or form or a platform or an expression that someone could look towards, or pre-written something that someone else may have made, like this is just the time that has to happen. Like this is a preacher time, a teacher time when you got Mercury and Sag. Mercury don't like to be in that shit. Mercury wants to be the motherfucking curiosity ass teaching, but can't do that when it's in Sagittarius. It has to have a form of reference, aka a shape and form, because fire is too light. So it takes a little longer to bring fire and water into this realm of reality. So all my fire and water signs, if you are fire like me or you a water sign, it may take you a little longer to actually bring things from the higher realm down into this realm, other than an air or earth sign. Air and earth signs, they know how to maneuver because they created this realm, the shape and forms of this realm, and more specifically earth. But air is the second coming. You see what I'm saying? That know how to relate. They are the relationship signs and the foundation and structure signs. You know, water and fire is chaos. You know what I'm saying? Fire is super chaos and just the ideas. Water is the formation of chaos and just needing to settle. And when they don't learn how to do that shit, the steams itself right the fuck out of this realm of reality. One of the goddamn reasons I can't get this goddamn blunt land. You see what I'm saying? God damn it. So for the most part, when we're talking about the moon, Mercury and Jupiter, these things are being backed and supported by the Sagittarius energy. So this is what you have. This is kind of how you have to see those. You know what I'm saying? Mercury is the thinking, communicating, and the intellect. The moon is the reacting and responding and the comfortability. So it may be a little harder for you to get comfortable with this kind of energy if you have a Pisces sun, moon, or ascendant, a Gemini sun, moon, or ascendant, or a Virgo sun, moon, or ascendant. And if you're a Sagittarius sun, moon, or ascendant, then you're gonna feel familiar. You're gonna feel a little comfortable and shit like that that. But the moment you go overboard, just because you right most of the times, then that's your problem. You know what I'm saying? Then you become against the wave. So we all got problems, right? Just the clash of the mutable signs right now. But for the most part, the sun is still in Scorpio, so it's still anchoring things down in a fixated way. So how all this energy is going to look is you're going to be finding yourself gaining a lot of wisdom and knowledge about a whole bunch of behind the scenes things that was in the dark. You know what I'm saying? You're going to find yourself being enlightened about things you shouldn't have been enlightened about. You're going to find yourself getting wise and gaining wisdom on things that other people around you was trying to keep in the dark. You're going to find yourself being, now this is if you're working with the energies. If you ain't, you're going to be the shit that this happening to. People going to be finding out your secrets. People going to be finding out your manipulations. People going to be finding out your bad ends. So you see what I'm saying? You got to diverge yourself. But for the most part, this is what we're going through right now. Behind the scene things is being seen, and then it's going to cause kind of this passion to kind of go against a little bit, just because we still dealing with the sun being in Scorpio. So with the sun being in Scorpio, it's putting you in a circumstance and situation where you still got your own desires. You still care about your own space. You still don't want your own space to be smothered. But for the most part, now you got everybody getting wise and wisdom and shit like that and bringing light. So now your space don't even look like a space. It's almost like you in a dark house, but now somebody turning all the lights on. So now, even though you're still in your own space, just being in your own space might start to feel uncomfortable. So you start to develop more wisdom and knowledge in order to feel comfortable with your own state of being right now. Like, it's going crazy right now. This is how the energy's dealing with when we talk about 9th, 8th house energies bouncing back and forth. We're talking about the sexual organs and the thighs right now. So we're talking about the ability to have wisdom on traveling our sexual organs into other places and scenarios. So this could lead into STDs, sexual diseases, and things of that nature. And when I say sexual diseases, I'm not even talking about just physically. I'm talking about this as far as sharing our relations with others based upon deep in-depth relations. So this is deep, dark, in-depth relations. When you connect deeply emotionally, deeply mentally, all the way to it becomes physically, sexually. And when you get connected, your ability to travel this and do this with others came where Sagittarius. So Sagittarius travels depth. It traveled a deep, dark wisdom. So it's like the centaur. It know how to take the animalistic natures and rise it, aka move it somewhere else, aka travel it. But when a person get lost in their lower animalistic natures, they just travel what? Into another pussy. What? Travel onto another dick. So for the most part, Sagittarius is giving everybody the ability to travel and communicate some deep, in-depth type of shit. So, you know, Sagittarius in general always like to communicate about some deep, dark shit. Bring deep, dark shit to the light. You know what I'm saying? Scorpio sometimes be aware of this shit, but they don't like all that shit to be seen. Because the Scorpio will be like, man, if you know everything I know, I might not be able to take power and control over the circumstance that I need to know. So you see what I'm saying? It's just like a big old, this the shit right here though. The 8th and 9th house is the shit. These houses is the shit. You know what I'm saying? If you want to know anything esoteric, anything motherfucking Gnostic, anything deep, dark, occultic, anything rising above spirituality, moral systems, you go to the 8th and the 9th house. I advise you to go to the 8th and the 9th house and learn about that shit. You'll be straight. You know what I'm saying? But for real though. But yeah, let me stop this motherfucking video. I'm gonna go live tonight, you know what I'm saying, so we can continue talking about the in-depth of the energies, because you know we had a bunch of alignments and things of that nature, you know, with Neptune and Jupiter and all these motherfuckers squaring off, and you know we still got the sun, and we got Venus still in retrograde. So you know a lot of it's slid her motherfucking young ass and motherfucking Libra. So right now she's indulging into her relationship and shit, sneaking out at night when she ain't so fucking supposed to and shit like that, coming in, leaving a fucking window open so she could slide in without opening the door and setting off the motherfucking alarm at night when everybody thought she was supposed to be in a motherfucking bed sleep. That's Venus right now. So for the most part, you find yourself being more relatable and compassionate, or compromising with things that you ain't really think you was going to compromise with before. So right now, try not to get too passive and balanced. But I'm going to save a lot of this for the night though. But you know, for the most part, yeah. Flight bus, bitch. Goddamn air.